Welcome to the next episode of podcast Femme Occulte, which is the podcast about Czech magic, mysticism, and witchcraft. Today we are going to have another special because this spring, for the fourth time in a row, the long-awaited book with a mysterious title, Liber Magicae, is going to be published. So I have invited the founder of Femme Occulte and probably the most famous Czech eclectic witch, Belladonna. Hello, thank you for coming, because you are going to introduce us properly this necessary part of the bookshelf of every modern witch, and of course, tell us some spicy backstage gossip. Hello.
Hello, hi. Thank you for having me again. Yes, I am co-founder of Femme Occulte, and I'm one of the eclectic witches in Czech Republic. Would definitely not call myself the most famous one, but thank you. That's a very, very kind words from you. Thank you so much. The Liber Magicae 4, it's indeed coming now to the print. We have like an official printing date on our website on 31st of March based on our previous experiences, but we hope to be able to print it already about 15th of March. So that's the deadline for the pre-orders based on which we are opening the whole printing process.
What we can look forward to in Liber? What's going to be new here? What's not in the magazines?
Well, there's like two big differences. First of all, there's a difference between a book, between this collection or anthology and the magazines of that particular year for Liber Magicae 4 that is now coming. It's year 2023. But there's also like a huge difference between the Liber Magicaes on their own, because each of the Libers has its own topic. They are like beings that can exist on their own. They don't need to be in the bookshelf altogether, even though it's really nice to have the whole or full collection of our texts. But even those people who don't own Liber Magicae 1, 2, or 3, or some of those, they can also work fully and normally with Liber Magicae 4 because it has its own topic, and that is magical tools or ritual tools. So that was the topic that was the main line in the previous year, in year 2023. And of course, all the chapters from the magazines are in the book concluded and re-edited, reread, and rechecked with the designer, with our lovely Rhoda. And then there are some extra chapters on top of it. And because of each of the quarters of the year, which we are covering with the magazines, is connected to one of the 4 basic Western elements, we have then in a book included also the quintessence or the spirit, usually. So after the 4 elements, we have the spirit, which is something extra, something added on just for the book. And there are also some ritual tools that we don't talk about over the year, mainly in Druidry, which are then mentioned and developed and write about in particular chapters in Liber Magicae 4 then.
Well, if I read the 4th one and it comes to my mind that I need the 3rd and the 2nd and maybe the 1st, can I have them now?
At the moment, you are still able to order some of the Liber Magicae 3 from our website. We have like last 5 to 7 pieces there. And Liber Magicae 2 and Liber Magicae 1, those are completely sold out. So those can be purchased only from like a second hand from some other person, but I kind of doubt that someone would want to sell these gems. But maybe. Sometimes I see that sometimes some of the magazines are available also from different sellers, from people with whom we are working together on a wholesale level. And so some of the back issues from the magazines are available still online, and some of them we have also on our website. But Liber Magicae is something that we are selling only solely on our website, so it's nowhere else. And Liber Magicae 1 and Liber Magicae 2 are completely sold out, are out of market at the moment. We are not planning to reprint them at this moment or this year. And Liber Magicae 3, there are some last pieces available in stock, yeah.
Okay, does it also come with a ritual package like the magazine?
We have some incense packages. Ritual packages are also sold out already for the Liber Magicae 4, but we have just few left for Liber Magicae 3. We had some extras last year. So there is, with the book, also possibility to purchase a ritual package, which means the package where you will find special items that are connected to the chapters in that specific book. And incense package is focused on the incense practice, on working with different types of incenses, herbal ones, cones, also those that are like loose incense. So there are more different incense types that you can connect to your magical workings and read about them also in the Liber Magicae 4. So for Liber Magicae 4, there are few available.
Yeah, and its whole book is like about the tools, and there are some tools of the spirit. But what are they? Because like the spirit, does it even need some tools? Because I cannot imagine like holding a wand or a sword basically with my brain.
Yeah, most of us actually see the spirit also as a tool of our brain. That's the quintessence that is needed for the whole ritual to actually happen. But a part of my chapters that I was writing or co-working on with the whole team actually was last year kind of a questionnaire where I asked everyone how are they using the specific tools, if they are using them in their own practice, because each of our authors practices a different path. There are Wiccans, Kabbalists, wolf cults, Germanic tradition, Slavic tradition, Celtic tradition, and more, old path, and so on. Eclectic witchcraft on my side, and so on. So there were like loads of views on the commonly used altar tools. And then for the spirit, it was really interesting as well, because I've read a lot about, I feel like my book of shadows or my book of knowledge is something that is a spirit for me, because it concludes all my experience and all the tools that I'm using and their magical purposes. Then there were quite often also oracles used as a tool of spirit. For me, the spirit is the whole altar, then all together. So the altar is the spirit as well. And then our druid was writing about the bell branch and the crane bag. So these two tools he connected with the spirit in his practice.
What is a crane bag? Because when we try to translate it into Czech, it's kind of funny because it's something like old woman's backpack or something like this. So what is?
Well, it is from like it's a bag. So in general, it's some kind of a thing that you can store items in. And the crane is actually rather derived from a bird, water bird, rather than a crone as a hag or as an old woman or wise woman. So it is based on the Celtic mythology, where one of the girls was beautiful and the other one wasn't. So the one who wasn't that beautiful cursed the first one, and she shapeshifted into a crane and was watching sunsets with one of the gods of Celtic mythology, with Manannán mac Lir. And then one day, after about 200 years, he changed her back to a human being. Of course, a human being doesn't have that many years, so she died afterwards. But he used her skin to make a crane bag. And in that crane bag, he stored his most precious items. So crane bag can be as well some kind of a travel altar, but with a lot of emotional value to the items that are in it, rather than necessarily magical.
Yeah, kind of scary. Are the tools personally important for you? Like, do you care if they are handmade or do you even make them yourself?
The tools with which I'm working with them usually for quite a long time, like 10, 15 years. And at some point of my practice, I simply went slowly back, step by step, to the items that I have with me for the longest time. Also, for example, my dagger, my ritual dagger, is actually like an opening mini knife that I bought on some school trip when I was in 7th grade, or maybe even I was probably even younger, on the basic school. So yeah, like the things that stuck with me, that are with me for a long time, and that I know that they didn't break for the whole time, for that time period, and that they have a good quality. Also, items that I created myself are quite important to me, and then handmade items as well, yeah, and those that are a little bit connected to some kind of mythology or archaeological foundings and so on.
Can you work even without them? For example, if you find out that you are cursed, for example, for looking too good, and you have nothing with you, can you do something?
Well, I guess that if I was cursed for looking too good, I would probably have some like pimples all over the face then, so I would probably use some aloe vera. But yeah, I can practice magic also without the altar tools. Definitely. Altar tools are something that can help you with the atmosphere, that can help you to feel the sacred and the divine, but the whole magic then happens in the brain and in the heart, maybe a little bit, and aura, and through you as a vessel, maybe a little bit. Yeah, it's sometimes a little bit harder to grasp it into words, but it is, yes, possible to practice magic without the ritual tools.
As an eclectic, I know that you are always happy when you find some meeting points between different traditions and different religions. So did you maybe in the questionnaire found out that the authors who follow completely different ways do use some same tools or similar ones? For example, if someone is a Kabbalist and someone is Wiccan, so is there some meeting points, speaking of the tools?
I would say there are, but each of us from each of the practices might have a little bit also different goals and different use of the magic. So it didn't present itself that much in the questionnaires that I created. On the other hand, we as a team are really, really nicely like astrally aligned. So there's quite often some kind of moment when I read texts submitted from different traditions by people who see each other, let's say once a 2 months on the hour or 2 hour meeting online when we are meeting all together, and they just somehow are so connected astrally or by the spirit that there are points where they are matching each other, where just like one is raising an answer, or somehow his text or her text is raising an answer and the other one has the answer, just in a different tradition from that different point of view. It is simply there. So I really much enjoy when I'm doing the corrections to connect these, to sign, hey, look at this as well on this page, because that might ring a bell then. And that happens actually quite often, and that also led us to the topics of this year of 2024, because the team is basically the same. We just got few more lovely seedlings to us by the end of last year, but the core is now kind of stable.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
When did came the first idea to start with Liber?
Oh, with the Liber Magicae. Well, that was there simply from the very beginning. We knew quite soon, before even the first one was in print or for pre-orders available, we knew that we are going to write a magazine that we wanted to become a book, an anthology at the end of each year. We were not sure if it will be possible, because we didn't know if the project will work, if it will succeed, if it will be even like alive after a year. So first of all, we simply presented and shown the magazine. In the very first one, we mentioned that we would like it to create some like a bigger collection at some point, but we had this idea in the mind, and we were lucky enough to have the success in the very first year and be able then to play with the anthology and put it into a nice cover and everything, because production of the Liber is always something very, very expensive.
Yeah, what does it take to transform the magazines into a Liber?
It's quite a long journey, actually. We usually start basically after printing the spring magazine. After printing the spring magazine, I already take it and put their notes about, hey, we are here saying, hey, look at this page. So there has to be a different page in the book, of course, because we will put the chapters into a different order. And of course, the whole thing is much, much bigger. So linking the pages in between the chapters and in between the authors has to be remade, or has to be at least like highlighted. So that's the very first step. And then by the end of August, we are starting to really like drill working on it. So that's the deadline for the extra chapters. Those are going, of course, through corrections, translations, correction of the other language, and then sometimes also some extra readings that we read with the authors out loud, so we can catch the last really bits and pieces. Then we are reviewing the design, we are checking the order of the chapters, because in each magazine we are focusing on that, let's say, spring topic and the airy topic, and then in summer it's summer topic and the fiery topic in each of the traditions. And in the book we then collect and connect each of the traditions on their own. So then it's rather Kabbalah, Druidry, natural magic, practical magic, tarot, and so on, or Germanic magic as well, fetchcraft now, for example. And yeah, there's so much. Yeah, so we create this kind of, or I create this kind of list. Then we go through it with Rhoda, and we are creating the design, which is starting basically the next year. So we are now starting with the design, or I'd say that this interview will be online a little bit later than we are shooting it. So I'd say about February. At the beginning of February, we start with the design, and then we do all the recheck. Then we check if the chapters after each other are good looking, if there are some photos needed to add, and just like a details, just really like jewelering it. Yeah, so that's then kind of the end, which for me is not that hard. I'm just like looking and being already super excited. But for Rhoda, it's the biggest pressure and the biggest part of her work on this project. And then also printing, then it has to come from the printers, the quality check starts, and after the quality check, we are shipping it to the customers, which is also like a really, really huge thing. We have 2 people on the stock room, so I have to thank them for their brilliant job with this, because that's always really full weekend and few more days extra, like I'd say about a week of working with the book in hands and like box to box. Yeah.
Yeah, it must be really when it's all gone. But speaking of looking good, every issue has its own artist. So is there one artist for Liber, or are there some pictures from all 4 of them?
We are leaving it as it is, or mostly as it is in the magazines. So all the authors, all the artists or craftsmen of Czech Republic that we talk about or that we show in our magazines, they are also present then in the Liber Magicae altogether.
Is it worth it to buy the magazines and Liber? Because like now it seems my library is too big, but my actual bookshelf is like 1% of this background. So I don't know if it's worth the place.
It's up to each person. If they would like a book, a magazine, a Patreon subscription, which is also an option, just simply online in the most ecological way we have, even though we are, of course, printing ecologically in the really, really small print, just based on the pre-orders, just based on the request and on the ecological papers and so on. But yeah, there is this option of Patreon and the magazines. I would choose one of those for kind of working on the go, for working also, for example, with your pencil and with your notes and with stickers and so on. This way I would work with the magazine. And this is actually also the way I actually do work with the magazine, because always when I receive it, I'm going through it again for the next check and for the next inspiration as well. So I really have my magazines with like underlining, highlighting, and stickers marking the pages and so on. And then I have the book at the end of the year with the extra chapters, which I have like a little treasure, like a little gem on my bookshelf together with the other ones. There is also in the book usually a little space for personal notes at the end of it. So it's up to each person, but there is definitely this possibility to go with making notes into the magazine, have it with you always in the bag because it's not that heavy as the book, or to use the Patreon and just have it on your phone with you, and then have the book as a collector's item.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Do all of the authors have some bonus chapters in Liber, or just someone?
No, not all of us. Just those who want to, just those who have even more inspiration, or also those who actually work with the fifth element, let's say. Yeah, because some of us are working with a completely different concept, and there is, for example, those who write about the wheel of the year. They walk through that year over the year, and then there is no extra month somewhere to write about for Liber, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
just some of us write some extra chapters.
Did you ever thought about writing another like genre of book, for example, a grimoire or maybe some historical book, or I don't know, it's up to you.
Well, sometimes I play with the idea that I would make my Book of Shadows a book or something, but I'd say that Femme Occulte is such a different kind of product, different kind of grasping the magic by connecting the authors, focusing on that topic from so many different perspectives, and finding exactly those lines that are intertwined, that are like connected in those personal gnoses, but also the academical resources. That this is something for me, to me, after those 5 years we are working on it, still so fascinating that just writing a book feels a little bit redundant to me. By which I definitely don't want to say that just writing a book is not enough. There are so many brilliant, beautiful books, but the thing is that there's exactly so many. So to have this kind of anthologies is much more fulfilling for me. It makes me happy to create this kind of stuff rather than to be like a lone writer and create my own book of spells.
Yeah, it would be kind of boring to have just a book about one topic, because in the magazines there are so many different series about Kabbalah and plants and maybe recipes and spiritual guides, that one person just cannot do it all herself. But last question, but definitely not least, what is your favorite series from last year? What would you highlight?
Well, I love all of it. I just love when I see that the souls are connected, even though each of them is walking different spiritual paths. Yeah, so all of them are definitely enriching also my practice. What I very much love, and like I'd say Rhoda loves the Kabbalistic chapters. She was mentioning it in the Czech version of this podcast. But last year, what was beautiful was that I kind of started playing with the idea, what will we write about in 2024? And it was already after the spring issue. And then for the summer issue, Magwort from the Polish Slavic tradition submitted a chapter that was exactly about these kind of like a daily times and their beings. And that just confirmed my idea that, yes, we are on the same boat. We are just led by some kind of egregor spirit of Femme Occulte or of witch, and it's showing us where to take the journey towards to, what to do, what to write about. So for me, definitely mugwort was like a huge
Mhm.
inspiration / confirmation of my gnosis for that 2023 year. And I'm very happy about that.
Me too. I'm looking forward to connecting more with you. My personal favorite is Fetchcraft. It inspires me every day.
Yeah. Fetchcraft also absolutely brilliant. There was this project of Taxus who writes Fetchcraft, the 18 Spells of Havamal, which is a grimoire in cards. So it came out also as a deck of cards, not really an oracle, rather a grimoire. It's really interesting. She worked on it as Šárka Sedláková, which is her proper name, let's say, not a pen name, together with Brett Robert Benford, who created our cover pages. Always the cover is by him, based on some shoots of ideas that I sent him. So that was absolutely stunning project as well, and it will be published in the Liber Magicae 4, also in the full pages pictures. So I'm really looking forward to these illustrations, how they will come out also like a huge version, because he's so focused on the detail, plus the texts fully written by Taxus, who's an expert in fetchcraft and rune magic, is brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. So this is maybe the biggest motivation to buy Liber, because the cards are so beautiful. So thank you for this interview. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you very much for inviting me and for this lovely English spoken chat again.
And thanks to you for listening to this very end. Please let me know how do you like our podcast, and I'm looking forward to you in the next episode. And if you have an itch, that's because you want to give us a like. And if it just got really, really bad, that means you want to subscribe to us.